this is what the pros do. They don't talk to the cops.
Yes.
They plead the fifth.
Mhm.
So what is
No
that?
statement at all. And a lot of attorneys will tell you, self-defense incident, no statement at all. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, shut your mouth. And so what does that look like when the police arrive on scene? Hey, want to talk to you, but I can't do it without an attorney present. I invoke my right to remain silent. I invoke my right to an attorney. That's what the pros do. And that, if you just do that, you are going to be better off than 99% of people.
Yes. You found an interesting statistic.
Yeah, it was saying 75 to 80% of convictions are based on voluntary confessions.
Yes. Your voluntary statement.
Yeah. So that's, I mean,
That's big.
that's why you hear the advice, stitches get stitches, don't talk, everybody walks. Emily loves that one.
Nobody talks, everybody walks.
Oh, I got it wrong.
Yeah.
But that's why that advice exists. If nobody is talking, the chances of law enforcement obtaining a conviction go way, way down. That's what the pros are doing. So that leads us to our last one. What are the experts doing?
Right. Well, and I will say, for a lot of people, you are not going to be able to do what the experts do, because to be an expert, you have to be able to access an attorney who does this stuff in the moment. That's really hard to do. I have access to those attorneys and I would use it if that tells you anything. If someone, the cleanest self-defense incident in the entire world, someone broke into my house and they had a gun and I shot that person, when the police arrived, if I had not had an opportunity to call Richard, to call Edwin, to call Leslie, I would say nothing.
Yep.
I would say nothing.
You get a plan for these things, just like you go to the range, you become proficient. You can kind of start thinking through these things or having a plan in place. Should you find yourself in this situation, you could put yourself in a situation where maybe you go beyond the pro level.
Right.
And let's talk about the expert level.
The expert level. And I will say there is one legal services plan that we know of that offers actual direct contact with attorneys at any moment. And so these people are really well off. If you have someone who will answer the phone who does this, you are really well off. If you can get that attorney in that moment, you can be an expert. Or, if you happen to be, I think Massad Ayoob said that, if he got in a self-defense incident, he would know exactly what to say.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself. He trusts himself. And that's totally fair.
Right.
But you should be able to give defensive statements only after consulting with an attorney, and that attorney should have some opportunity to review what has happened.
Yeah.
So, for example, I had a client and the police would not give me any information about what was going on. I was on scene. We were ready to give a statement, but needed to see what was happening before I agreed that we would sit down and give a statement. They wouldn't. They wouldn't tell me anything. They wouldn't tell me anything. No statement. Because unfortunately, I can't help you if I have none of the information, right? So, a lot of things, I guess to be an expert, a lot of things have to converge.
Yeah, you got to have a lot of stars aligned. But what are we ultimately talking about? It's about making a short, truthful statement about the defensive incident. And when we say short, we're talking like 5 words.
Yeah.
When we say short, we're not talking about, oh, this happened, scene missing, coming home. We're not talking about any of that stuff. We're talking about, this guy just kicked down my door and I had to defend myself.
Not something that could qualify as a partial statement, by the way.
No, exactly right.
We're not saying he was this far away when. We're not saying
I shot this many times.
Right. Well, now, if the police will show me that there is, one bullet hole in that guy, that's fine, right? We can say, hey, I was in fear. He came at me. I shot him once, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You need someone there to assess in the moment whether or not, how much, whether that statement's 5 words or whether it's 12 words,
Sure.
right? You need that person in the moment.
But it's going to look a lot like, hey, I was pumping gas. Somebody tried to rob me. I had to defend myself. Emily's example. Somebody kicked down my door, had to defend myself and my family. Why we say this is probably better than just shutting up in most instances, obviously acting on the advice of an attorney, is you've established your self-defense claim. And that's the one thing that's missing from these folks who just completely shut down. Well, the police, they're not getting any defensive information out of you, or, were you in fear? Did you, what were you responding to? Did the person have a weapon? These things, they're not getting any of that information. And the first time maybe you're making that self-defense claim is on the witness stand,
Right.
in which case the prosecutor is going to say, this is the first time we're hearing about this self-defense claim. And I'll tell you, that has an impact.
Yeah, it does. Now, I will say, I'm going to go back on what I said earlier, which is that even if you have not spoken to an attorney, right? In that case, I don't want you to give any sort of detail, no detail, but
Right.
I will always tell people it is generally going to be okay to say, I knew I was going to die.
Mhm.
I knew I was going to die, right? Because if you shot someone and that's not true, you're in big trouble. So that better be true if you have shot someone.
Yeah, and
Right.
I think it's worth talking about the "in fear for my life."
Don't say that.
Yeah, don't say that.
Don't say that.
You know, that may have been conventional wisdom a decade and a half, 2 decades ago, but I will tell you, police, prosecutors, juries, everybody's immune to it.
Yes.
It
I've
means
had it used against a client at trial.
it means absolutely
means
nothing.
nothing.
It sounds pre-rehearsed, and that's why we talk about incorporating the facts of your case. Door got kicked down,
Mhm.
defended myself. You're saying the same thing, but it's tailored to your particular situation.
Yes. But if you have not spoken to anyone about your situation, I'd still maintain you can say, like, look, I'm not going to give you a statement right now. This has been the worst night of my life. I will not speak until I've had an opportunity to consult an attorney, but I knew I was going to die tonight.
Mhm.
I knew I was going to die.
Yeah.